What's up, everybody? We are on first break today. I'm up to 340,000, peaked at almost 400K. We're gonna come back to the bubble. The irony of this sign behind me is not lost. We'll have a conversation about the guarantee and everything that Westgate did to botch this as best they could a little later in the vlog. But for now, I am going to try to punish this bubble as best I can since I am the big stack at my table. Check in later. Look at these Twitter fingers.
Look at you talking shit.
Twitter fingers. We got them. We're out there. Looking out for the players, trying to get Jai in there for half price.
Poker police. Solve For Why Poker police.
Alright, so one of the things that did happen, which was a little bit controversial, was at the Westgate. Both Westgate and Heartland Poker Tour had like a little bit of a controversy. We were there to see it. We were
on the front line.
We were front and center. So Berkey and I are having food at dinner break, and we hear an announcement that says, you know, they announced the event, and they say, you know, there's a 1650, 500K guarantee going on. You can register now, and if you register now, you'll get it for half off. And at that point, all the poker players that were at the bar, at the sports bar, started looking at each other like, what just happened? And
which, to be fair, was way fewer people than I realized.
Yeah.
There was maybe only 10 of us that actually heard the announcement.
Correct.
And that's working very favorably, I think, for Westgate right now.
Yeah. I mean, most of the poker players weren't there. So
right.
Some weirdness goes on where like the person that made the announcement now like starts moving towards the poker room, which is also right by the sports bar, and he starts getting surrounded by players, and the players that were there were like these three players that were looking to get in the tournament, and you know, he's like, oh well, let's do it, let's go, and I'm on the other end saying like, you can't do this. You're going to face an uproar.
Yeah, now to be fair, I want to hammer a few things out because I think it should be very clear. Most of these tours, I know like World Series, Heartland, and a lot of the other ones, probably mid-stakes poker tour as well, most of them just license their name out and bring their audience to the venue in exchange for some sort of fee. So they have very little oversight as far as like how it's structured, the rate that's chosen to be taken, et cetera, et cetera. But that being said, like they have all the ability in the world to write the contract initially, to protect themselves, obviously, and to decide who they're going to do business with. So by no means am I saying that HPT isn't complicit in this. I just think it's like really important to give them a chance to respond, right? This just happened a couple of days ago. They should be handling it internally and then coming out with a public statement. Now, should they choose not to do that, which we're approaching 48 hours now, or 72 hours, I guess, since it's actually happened, and there's been no word from HPT. Now, they are beginning to fall into the corner of, you didn't do a good enough job protecting your players, protecting your clients, acting in their best interest, etc.
Even if it is legal, it's probably very unethical. And
yeah, it's weird, man. It's weird because like obviously we're all playing the guarantee for two reasons. One, if it hits the guarantee, it's a big enough prize pool to get us out of bed and make us happy. But two, if they miss the prize or if they miss the guarantee, then that's just EV that every single person who played the event earns, right? When you allow somebody in for 50% off, that EV gets massively reduced. So I think like that's where most of the players' uproar and rage comes from. But you also have to remember that this is on the back end of them having a clause in the initial statement that says if they didn't reach 300 players minimum, the guarantee was totally off. So they couldn't even miss the guarantee by a wide mark. They could only miss it by like 50K.
It would only be the rake plus like 5K.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Obviously, it's a huge problem for Westgate. Like they're going to lose money on the event if that's the case.
Right.
But that's on them, right? Like don't slap your name to a guarantee if you don't have the wherewithal to fulfill it. None of us knew where the hell the Westgate was prior to this event, and none of us will be returning now after it. I think the biggest thing that like I took away from this is the poker community is really coming into its own. The more that we begin to recognize the guys that are doing it right, WPT, WSOP, WSOP C, WPT Deep Stacks, like all of these smaller events, they get it right. Most of the time they get it right. Whenever they don't get it right and we voice our opinions, they do their damnedest to change it. We just saw this with World Series structures for the summer. You know, there was a big outcry that we wanted the Andes to kick in earlier. It was a community-wide consensus, as far as we could tell. Sure, there are some outliers, but generally speaking, people want Andes earlier. They listened. They immediately adjusted their structures. They deserve massive kudos for that. And then just as far as going to the other side, when a venue effectively fucks its clients, everybody just voices their opinion, and yeah, it gets overblown, it gets called a scandal, and like all this other nonsense. Like, that's not what it is. It's just, a business not acting necessarily in their best interest, or maybe overly in their best interest, depending on whether you're looking at the short term or long term. But at the end of the day, like, it just is what it is. It was a small thing, it was a hiccup, it'll cost them business in the future, but we're all gonna move on from it. The important thing is that people voice their opinions, and we're heard. And I think that that's like as close to a player union as we'll ever get.
Yeah.
And that's really important. If we want to continue to grow this game and keep people safe and protected from things that they may otherwise be ignorant to, then it's important for those of us in the community who are paying close attention to speak out.
You think they're gonna fix the bathrooms at the series if we complain?
Yeah. They had a plumbing issue, man.
Fix the bathroom.
They fixed it.
Okay. Player union.
Chin is not in charge.
What's up, Berk? Did it again. Got you at my table. All right, sorry. I'll try to get out of your way.
Smell that?
Stop betting my boards, bro.
You smell that?
Stop betting my
That's
boards.
the air of victory. So we're on first break.
I'm glad we have the 5 auto swap turn.
Oh, you didn't say anything about that. How fast did I call you?
Yeah, you called pretty fast because like he obviously knows I'm able to have bluffs, but like anyone else, he probably just gets stacked. But like yeah, it's me, so like Solve For Why, he has bluffs, call.
All right, so Chin's tilted, but
I'm not tilted.
what really happened is that we've played too much together. I know he's running this line, and
I gotta go because I don't have many chips.
he has a tell. We got seated at the same first table.
Yeah, we got seated on the same table somehow.
I taught you a lesson. No, I mean, you never stop being the student. Tell me about your candidate.
All right, so hand right before break, it's 200, 400. I opened to 800, I believe like slightly over 30K, and Berkey chooses to call with some hand called the Queen Jack of Clubs, and 2 players call. I believe it was the cutoff and the big blind. So 4-way to the flop. Once it goes 4 ways, I know I'm going to be checking at a high frequency on a lot of boards. Flop comes Queen Jack 10 with the Queen and the 10 of hearts. Now I think that I can bet or check, but with like a couple players behind, I kind of wanted to see how the action unfolds. I don't think checking caps my range. Now I choose to check. Berkey bets 1600, folds back to me, and I think potentially here I make a mistake where like against you specifically, I probably should just like go into like more showdown heavy style, actualize my equity, but I chose to stick to my original plan, which was a check raise, which I think is still like okay. I make it 4,200. He chooses to call kind of like medium quickly. Turns an 8, which is a really interesting card. I choose to bet 9,000. Berkey chooses to call after like a long tank on the turn. River is a 6, banana 6, and I don't take too long. I end up shoving, and Berkey quickly calls. On the turn, I think like once you call through the turn, I should probably be giving up. But I thought like you could still have some like hands, and my plan was still to like rep ace king pretty hard and force you to have the call down.
Yeah, so I guess from my perspective, this is where I think like a transparent strategy begins to falter. So in this instance, I know your strategy and I know how you split. So what it allows for is I just c-bet tighter now, right? Because I know that I'm likely to face friction on a board texture like this. So I'm not betting hands like ace jack off.
Yeah.
I'm not betting hands like king jack off, right? I'm just like trying to realize with the majority of hands that have showdown value and the ability to improve. So whenever I do choose to bet these board textures, I'm almost certainly going to be like 2 pair plus, maybe king queen. King queen's probably like bottom of my range.
Right.
And once that occurs, now I just have nothing but top end candidates that like have to hold on. So of course I'm under bluffing this spot, but it's a multi-way pot, so I'm allowed to be under bluffing this spot, especially if it's going to lead to you over bluffing this spot. And if you're basically merging hands like king queen and turning them into bluffs, which I understand is a good candidate based on the way we split, then I'm just able to kind of like strap it and hold on. So yeah, basically I said like, you know, king queen ace jack of hearts would probably be the bottom end of my range. I would just bet 3-bet ace jack of hearts, and if I run into ace king or better, or sorry, if I run into like 2 pair plus, so be it. I have enough equity.
Yeah, your hand's huge. Right, I really think that was the disconnect. It's just like when you bet, me knowing how you're gonna perceive this board, and not like I should understand like you're pretty strong here, and like now I should shift to like more of like okay, I'm just gonna realize like I'm just gonna call.
Yeah, like if you had been empty there, I wouldn't have been shocked. Like if you had shown a hand like ace 10 with the backdoor, yeah, those hands just fail.
Yeah,
they just fail when you're against a nutted range. Like when you think about like what we talk about at the academy, what's the best way to neutralize? It's to arrive at the top a lot faster against somebody who is playing super volatile and aggressive. So you just start by reducing your c-bets in a multi-way pot to being closer to the top. Okay, so I think that hand was like super interesting. Obviously, I had a little fun with you on break and let you know that.
Yeah, it was fun.
In the cage.
It was a lot of fun.
If we both busted the table, I mean, we both ended up in for another bullet.
I should have never gave you the chips.
It wasn't my fault, man. You saw what happened to them. Like, somehow this kid just punts off his stack to me and finds a way to get there and then is out within an orbit.
That was true.
I'm breathing a waterfall, and my hands, I can't feel them. Turn it back a little bit, so just a little bit, so I follow. I don't really want to take off, not now, not ever. Speed us down while you slow us up. I'll be here all night, take me down.
Outside the ball, right?
Having a kind of a wait for them to
Elliot told me not to do this, but I'm addicted. I need more sessions.
Started in my heart. I looked at you again, and yeah, you went from the start.
you're about to hop a flight to the East Coast,
New Jersey.
You're gonna hit up Borgata, and then
I'm
we're
gonna try to hit a Borgata. If my girlfriend lets me, I will play the Borgata Almighty stack.
Wow, if my girlfriend lets me.
I mean, look, she let me live in Vegas, so I have to do something once I get back there. I will likely be playing the Almighty stack. They start you with like $500,000 in chips,
Dumbest thing I've ever heard.
but like the blinds start at like 15-3.
This is just so stupid.
Yeah.
It's just so dumb.
People like it. It's
Wait,
one of the
so you're not
popular-
playing the Borgata main?
No, I'm going to Montreal.
Oh, I didn't realize it conflicted. Okay, well, one way or another, we're both going to see you from Montreal. So I guess that'll be our next poker update.
1 million something to first, 1 million something to second, 1 million something to third.
Jesus.
Yeah, it's sick.
Okay,
It's a lot of money.
finally, that top 3 is going to pay off.
Yeah, over 1 million for top 3. That's so sick.
Yeah, we need it.
Yeah, we need it.
All right, guys, next time you'll see us will be from French Canada.
Yeah, I'll have a patch.
Yeah.
Yours has handles, mine doesn't.
I know.
Oh.